Alright, still afternoon where I am, but I had intended to do this earlier, and then I didn't. Now let's play Spot the Difference. What can you see different on this here home screen? I'll wait a few seconds while I just check something. That's not bad. Uh, said I'm slowly starting making an account. I gotta get it like approved and all that, 'cause that's how Foundation works. Kind of like how AO3, you gotta get it like approved by someone. I'm just waiting on that. After that, I should be able to upvote posts. I don't think I'll do them on recording because, again, vote how you personally think should be voted. But remember, you can read along with me. The articles that we will be covering will be in the description. I prefer for you to read along with me. I would love for you, if you have an account and membership and all that, to vote how you see fit in regards to the SCP-9000 contest. Reminder, the theme is structures, constructs, and patterns. Whether or not they adhere or diverge from said structures, constructs, or patterns. Now, I believe 3 have been added since the time we'd seen this last. Oh, white boy. I can't wait to read The Bike That Makes You Racist, but that's so long ago. Dollar General Kenobi, nice fucking name, pal. Really, I do think that's fun. However, fun fact about me, I have no interest whatsoever in Star Wars, despite my looks and general demeanor and hobbies and interests. Lasers just aren't for me. That and I never got into them. Saw one of the reboot movies with my dad once. The one of 3 times I ever met up with that man. It was whatever. So I guess that didn't exactly bolster my opinion of the films. Anyway, we're not here for that. We're here for this. This, of course, being, well, the 9K entries. As you can see, we're here. 9000 Contest Hub. And so we will continue our readings. Next is I'm Still Here by local lesbian commie. Again, come here yourself. I'd love for you to read along with me. And let's get started. Our veins may run open, but our blood will never run dry. Sounds like some Hellion shit. Fuck yeah. Come to Brazil! I bet Brazilian fans are going crazy right now. Oh, this is popular too. Hey! Alright, so this will be a shorter one then. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Okay, so we can definitely fit 2. Maybe we could even push and fit 3 in. That sounds... whatever, I don't care. Department of Continuity, huh? What is this? Uh... Is this... Oh, would you look at that? Oh, it's metafiction then, right? What the fuck? Hey, a 9000 entry and a 9... Okay, 2 9000 entries are part of this. Most of this is by local lesbian commie, it seems. Then Harmacy, One Tail. Summary. Department of Continuity is the face of a foundation that never wore the mask to begin with, classified as the one responsible for normalcy. This is an organization with a heavy fascist and positive aspirations. Okay. Uh, Bit weird to have this be the first article we're going to read today, but let's hope that the future one's going to be a bit happier then. Acting as the primary intelligence agency of the greatest superpower on Earth, the United States of America. By harnessing the power of the paranormal and employing advanced technology, the Department of Continuity fully embraces its mission as bureaucratic horror by ensuring the preservation of the status quo at all costs. An anomalous object discovered in a native village is not the problem in the eyes of the no, in the eyes of the Department of Continuity. What truly calls for action, however, is the native people learn to use it for their own purposes. When necessary, destiny will be manifested once more. The idea that the world has always been this way, the immature hatred for human species itself, and the certainty that people cannot be trusted with any form of power, that is the soul of the SCP Foundation. The next day is the same as before, and one does not yearn for change, the containment was successful. Everything is just a protocol, everything is automated, and the veil, as God's greatest treasure, will prevail. Damn, if only that slogan wasn't fucking hard. But I guess that's how it goes, isn't it? Oh, hey. Art. Oh, my wrist hurts. In the good way, I promise. Sorry, I just ate. I'm all bilious. Yeah. Anida esto aquí. Something is here? I don't speak Portuguese. Okay. Let's really quickly. I'm gonna go all the way down and just see if metafiction is tagged. Bureaucracy. No. Okay. But it is short, so that's good. Babel, like the Tower of. Oh, it actually kind of is. All right, let's get started. Reminder to come here and do. Oh wait, info. Oh, okay. Theme, like as in. Uh. Oh wait, no, the theme of the contest. Okay, I was thinking for a second. You mean like a song? Am I gonna hear a song at some point? Yeah, more fucking bile. Item number SCP-9000. Object class Babel. Footnote 1. The item poses a threat to the Foundation's influence in a key territory. Security clearance Level 5 or Thaumiel. So love it or leave it, the government slogan from 1960 to 1970. Special containment procedures. In a joint effort with the Central Intelligence Agency and the federal government of Brazil, the Department of Continuity has established a program of surveillance throughout all Brazilian broadcast services in order to intercept any instances of SCP-9000. All intercepted broadcasts are to be infused with the antimemetic agent God, Nation, and Family to mitigate the after effects of possible exposure. Okay. Who's this guy? I should stop getting ahead of myself and actually read the file. Sorry, it's because I'm actually getting into it already. In a combination with this, the Brazilian branch of the SCP Foundation is to investigate and confront anti-veil organizations operating within the country to disrupt the main chain of events following exposure to SCP-9000, with particular attention given to activities of Insurgencia do Chaos, Sol Vermelho. Yeah, Red Sun, I guess. Or Vermilion? Uh, Footnote 2. A radical faction of the local Chaos Insurgency, born after 1976 Red Massacre, when elements of the group were terminated in Sao Paulo by SCP Foundation. Anyway, the Insurgencia de Chaos Sol Vermelho declared war on normalcy in 1983. Despite speaking Spanish and being Mexican, I don't think it's the strongest. Apologies if I butchered that. It doesn't help that it's Portuguese. Should an anti-veil movement seize political power in Brazil, the country's armed forces shall immediately operate under the direction of the Department of Continuity. Description: SCP-9000 is the collective designation for anomalous television broadcasts of Brazilian clubs and national team football matches from 1967 to 1982. Okay. These transmissions manifest spontaneously in national television signals after the conclusion of sports or cultural programming. Oh, so like millions of people have watched it. Okay. 7,323 instances of SCP-9000 have been detected as of writing, becoming more prominent after each year. Okay. Although SCP-9000 broadcasts closely resemble their non-anomalous counterparts and often lead to the same outcomes, notable deviations have been identified throughout time. Documented examples may diverge from one another and include, but are not limited to, the absence of crowd. If present, the crowd consists of military leaders, landowners, and businessmen from the 1964 to 85 administration, or numerous face-humanoid figures. For the administration, that's a footnote 3. A business military regime backed by the United States of America. It was established by the Brazilian Armed Forces on April 1st, 1964, ending the term of President João Goulart. João? João? I don't know. The commentators are unaware of the players' names. Footballers and coaches from both teams are wounded, severely disfigured, or missing limbs. Wounded is footnoted. Typically through blunt force trauma. Okay. The players do not break for halftime. There are no referees, although fouls are still given automatically. A player may spontaneously distance themselves from the field and stare at the stands whether or not a crowd is present, thus remaining absent for the rest of the match. A player may deliberately fail to score when presented with a clear opportunity. A player may deliberately begin to walk off the field aimlessly while the match is still ongoing. The transmission lacks sound. Upon exposure, 91% of subjects reported severe distress regarding the conditions of Brazilian workers under the business military regime and subsequently engaged in a deeper study of Brazilian history from a far left perspective. Of these, 80% would later join an organization aligned to that political spectrum. For all intents and purposes, the circumstances described above render SCP-9000 a high-risk political instrument for anti-normalcy groups. The transcription of an SCP-9000 broadcast is attached below. Before we get into those, I'd like to just read the captions for these pictures, which do look very nice. First one, Ademir de Guaya, an iconic footballer for Sociedad Sportiva Palmeiras prior to missing a shot against Clube de Rejitas, Vasco da Gama during an SB9000 broadcast. Eyes are absent and the subject's jaw is detaching gradually. Oh. It almost looks like kind of hard to tell. I don't know if he's bleeding or if skin is over here, but his eyebrow ridge casts a shadow. Either way, it looks very good. Second one is the Brazilian team before their match against Peru in the 1970 World Cup, as seen in an SB9000 instance. The Brazilian players never kicked off in this anomalous iteration, remaining unmoving for the entire match, while Peru took advantage and won 41-0. So far, this is reminding me, just loosely, just because it's a sports recording having weird interactions, with an SCP. The number I've since forgotten, but it is essentially a recording of some basketball game, I forget which one, because I'm not into sports at all, where the people within the recording are aware that, I don't know if they're aware they're in a recording or they're aware they're in a time loop. Every time the recording is replayed, they will start freaking out and try to leave the match, not leave the match, leave the stadium, things like that. People get violent, people get sorry. It's like a slow, gradual decline as you go through replay through replay through replay through replay, and the foundation just keeps playing it over and over again to see what's going to happen next. It vaguely reminds me of that, which is good because I liked that one. Also, like to note that some of these are pretty normal aberrations, like a crowd being gone, not breaking, no referees but fouls exist, and then there's just aimless wandering, uh, maiming, and also sometimes it just has no sound. That's fun. I like that. Video log: 1977 Brazilian Championship Final. Atlético Mineiro 0 to Sao Paulo 0. Date: 5th of March 1978. Attendance: 102,974. Stadium: Mineiro or Mi, Mineiro Belo Horizonte, Minas Gerais. Referee: Ronaldo Cesar Coelho, Rio de Janeiro. Atlético Mineiro. Fuck it. If I started saying them all, I'm the same. Juliette Alves Marcio. Juliette Alves Marcio. Yeah. Vantuir Valdemir. Tonino Cerezo Angelo Marcelo, substituted by Paulo Isidoro. Sergino Gaio, substituted by Joaquino Balista. Ziza, coach Barbatana. As for Sao Paulo, oh, these are the players, by the way. As for Sao Paulo, Barrier Perez, Hetuilo, Tecao, Pereza, Antenor, Checao, Teodoro, substituted by Perez. Dario Pereni, Pereira, Viana, substituted by NECA. Mirandina, Sergio, coach Mario Juliato. I feel like I butchered a good number of those, even if I don't know. Whatever. Uh, it does. It's just players. I don't know if these are players at the time. Again, I don't know anything about sports, and I don't really have an interest. Begin log. At 3 minutes after a draw in regular time, both teams gather to prepare for the penalty shootout. All players appear exhausted. In hour 45, the stands are shown. The only spectators are Ernesto Hisol, Carlos Alberto Berlante Ustra, and Sergio Paranos Fieri. Ernesto is Army General and President of Brazil from 1974 to 1979. The National Renewal Allowance, Alianza Renovadora Nacional Arena, or Arena, I guess, dominant party in the two-party system at the time. Carlos is a politician who served as a colonel in the Brazilian army and the head of the Department of Information Operations, Center for Internal Defense Operations, DOI-CODI. Sergio is a police deputy for Sao Paulo and a chief of the Department of National of and a chief of the Department of Political and Social Order, or DOPS. 2 minutes 27. A face. Oh, are these hours or minutes? Minutes, because 51 hours do not exist in a day. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean. Maybe, okay, maybe it does. Yeah, 1 minute 45. The stands are shown. I already said that one. 2:27. A faceless spectator appears. 2 minutes 27 seconds. A faceless spectator appears, casually descending from the stands. They walk across the field and head to the locker room. No one seems to notice. 9 minutes 48. The shootout begins. 10 minutes 3 seconds. Tonino Cerezo scores. He does not celebrate. Footsteps echo loudly from the locker room. Only Alves seems to notice. 10 minutes 51. Getulio misses. At 11 minutes 42 seconds, Ziza does not take the shot. Instead, he celebrates as if he had scored and returns to his teammates who applaud. 13 minutes 8 seconds. A police officer is not seen outside the locker room as the noises grow louder. 28 minutes 21 seconds. Chicao takes the ball in his hands while another police officer appears outside the locker room. The sound of a non-existent crowd mumbling overtakes the broadcast. 29 minutes 2 seconds. While Chicao scores, the referee rules the shot invalid and instructs him to retake it. This process is repeating until he ultimately misses. Despite this, Chicao celebrates. 40 minutes 10 seconds. An entire row of police officers surrounds the entrance to the locker room. The spectators stand up. All three of them? 41 minutes 22 seconds. Alves approaches the goal area, positioning the ball while taking a deep breath. He seems to hesitate and stops moving. 42 minutes 47 seconds. The referee is nowhere to be seen. Is that implying he vanished? 43 minutes 8 seconds. Alves remains unmoving. 51 minutes 30 seconds. The other players wait anxiously, although the penalty is never taken. The broadcast abruptly ended after 19 hours. Addendum 01. Discovery. Following the ending of business military cycle, rumors of SCP-9000 began to circulate among the civilian population. Oh, sorry, I just had a little bit of bile rise up. I fucking hate having eating disorders. Foundation personnel would not succeed in observing the anomaly until December 5th, 1999, when it was where it was documented through two main courses of action: the capture and execution of two Sal Vermelho operatives, resulting in the confiscation of recorded tapes of the broadcast, and investigation via Brazil's emerging internet to locate the anomaly on paranormal focus forums such as Parawatch. Parawatch, my beloved. It's one of my favorite little GOIs. Excerpts of the latter are provided below. Before I get into those, I'd like to draw your attention to this blurry photograph of which the players have no faces. 1972 Society Desportiva Palmeiras team seen through the first discovered instance of SCP-9000. Matthias 68 on. Fuck. Are you gonna be? Okay, I don't know if this is gonna be American orientation or if this is gonna be anywhere else orientation. So I'll just do numbers. 12:05:99 at 3:55:12. Since we're sharing our experiences, I'd like to go into details surrounding something that happened to me last week. Final is approaching, and I wanted to watch some of the past Corinthians games to get in the mood for it. So, while searching my TV, I noticed Sport TV was transmitted the semifinals against Sao Paulo again. No better way to enjoy myself than rewatching the games where we beat one of our rivals, right? Not really. I fell asleep at the end of the second match, and there was something weird going on the TV when I woke up. Keep in mind, it was 2 a.m. at the time, and I was in complete darkness. It seemed like a 70s Grenell match, but everything was out of place. That being a common nickname for international. Is that English spelling? Ah, fuck, I get me confused. Nickname for Internacional ex Gremio, a rivalry from the Rio Grande do Sul state. The Grand River of the Sun. There was no crowd, no sound, but a slight static. Ah, this little fucker doesn't capitalize shit. That's pissing me off. But at least it's consistent. But that also does fit for the Parawatch. No sound but a slight static. The players had no eyes, and the coaches wouldn't stop clapping. I think I could hear it sometimes, but I'm not sure. But you know what freaked me out the most? The cops. I despise the cops. Where goalkeepers should have been, there they were, marching the whole time, but without actually moving. Every time a player got close to the goal, they just back off. That's it. That was the entire game. When I switched to another channel and back to Sport TV, it was gone. It never existed at all. Those fuckers ruined my life, so I couldn't get back to sleep. My father had connection to the Resistance. I was 5 when they got him at home. Never saw him again after he entered that car, but he was smiling. I don't think he convinced himself it would be alright, but he tried to convince me. My mother tried everything she could to get him back, but the same thing happened, so they let me see her again, broken, incapable of speaking, but my mother nonetheless. She could barely walk at the time. Once I got older and realized why that was, I felt sick to my stomach. She was certainly not the only one, and I never got to look at my brother the same way. Sometimes I question myself if there was an actual dictatorship, because it all feels too normal now, and they shouldn't. Fuck no. Things aren't normal in the slightest. Never were. I've been voting for Brizola for president since '89, but I doubt someone like him could ever get there. If he did, we'd probably just relive the past. Brizola has a footnote. Leonel Brizola, a popular politician of Trabalhismo, the Brazilian labor movement, and founder of the Democratic Labor Party, Partido Democratizo Trabalhista, or the PTD. Trabalhista, sorry. Trabajo, okay, yeah. Ana A. Maria, 120599 40210, or at 40210. I've had a similar experience 4 months ago, although I wouldn't say it's as bad as yours. In my case, it was the 1982 Sao Paulo Championship Final, Corinthians against Sao Paulo. Looking back, it feels pretty ironic. Corinthians was the team of democracy then, openly opposing the regime and everything. In the middle of the field was their star player, Socrates. He had the ball, but policemen surrounded him so tightly he couldn't move. The others were moving, just like in the original match, but since they didn't have the ball, the score never changed. By the end of the second half, everyone stopped but the crowd of army officers weeping quietly. I'd kept watching out of curiosity, but that felt too wrong, I guess, so I got up and turned off the TV. I vividly remember the other players looking at me through the screen just before it went dark. Overall, football's felt gloomier since then. Going to Maraca ain't the same. Maraca is a common nickname for Maracana State. No, not Nya, because the emphasis is over the N. How do I do that for the A? Maracana Stadium, the most popular football stadium in Brazil. Maracana. Maracana? Whatever. Viva SP underscore at 120599 at 5:30:55. Hello, Hello, folks. These stories are haunting, both for their normal and their paranormal aspects. Reality is scarier than fiction, as some may say, ellipses. Particularly, I'm very sorry for your mother, at Matthias68, colon backslash. Even though none of those monsters face proper punishment, I'm just glad we're a democracy again. My grandma teared up the day she got to cast her vote in '89. Winky face. Too bad it was for Golod, the 32nd president of Brazil. He resigned in 1992 after failed attempt to stop his impeachment trial for corruption. Ever mention? My family was involved in one of the revolution movements from Mexico. Garlao Jazz, 120599 at 80003. I'm happy for her at Viva SP but what the dictatorship did to everyone is what they've done to black people since the first slave ship arrived here. I agree we can't forget it. I agree we can't let it happen again, but why did it happen in the first place? Why didn't redemocratization stop the violence of our communities? In our communities, rather. Let's look at Vigario Garral. A death squad of hooded policemen stormed the favela and executed 21 people. The killers are still out there. They'll do it again. This is just one case. Aohuao underscore 70, 120599 at 171124. My turn to get personal. I agree with Garlau Jazz here. The dictatorship was the culmination of the tragedy called Brazil, but that's because they were open about who was going to die the next day. You see, my mom spent most of her life as a rural laborer. Her closest friend was killed when the police and local farmers attacked a group of fellow landless workers. That was 6 months ago. All they did was occupying unproductive land, and those bastards even got a child, for Christ's sake. Since then, Mom's thrown herself in the countless organizations for fighting for land rights. Even though her life could be taken at any moment, she's never felt more alive. She's now daily training at capoeira. Capoeira? For self-defense. Capoeira is an Afro-Brazilian martial art. Oh, daily training, capoeira. However I pronounce that. Not at, there's at. An Afro-Brazilian martial art, including elements of dance, acrobatics, and spirituality. I don't think there's any other option to us at this point. Existence is resistance when you don't want it to be. I figured this wanted to be a bit close to home. What's that quote? To you, it's grimdark. To us, it's just living in Latin America. I like it a lot, by the way. This is a great This is a great article. Addendum.02 Timeline events. The following timeline details key events in which the Department of Continuity intervened directly in Brazil's political sphere to safeguard the veil and advance foundation's strategic interests. December 17, 1939. Objective: establish the first foundation bases on Brazilian territory under the leadership of the Department of Continuity. Ensure that the industrialization policies of President Getúlio Vargas's government remain dependent on the United States. Investigate and study Brazil's paranormal phenomena to gain a deeper understanding of thaumaturgy. Outcome, success. Attaches the photo. President Getulio Vargas and Mobile Task Force Brazil happy again after the Foundation arrived in the country for the first time. Ain't no one happy in this photo, I can tell you that much. February 13, 1945. Objective: fund opposition to President Getulio Vargas as he signals greater independence. Establish the first Brazilian operational facility for D-class personnel in response to the growth of local chaos, insurgency, and similar movements. Outcome: success. March 4, 1947. Objective: support President Eurico Gaspar Dutra in enforcing the re-illegalization of the Brazilian Communist Party. Conduct amnestical studies on under-researched subjects in the rural areas of Brazil. Initiate the integration of favelas into the D-class network. Outcome: success. September 2nd, 1961. Objective: prevent João Goulart from assuming the presidency. Transfer federal control to armed forces. Immediately eliminate the local chaos insurgency. Outcome: failure. Leono Brizola aligned with local political forces and local police forces and leveraged his political power as governor to organize widespread opposition against the Foundation's interests. He also threatened the Department of Continuity through the use of thaumaturgical capabilities. The chaos insurgency is believed to have been responsible for Brizola acquiring thaumaturgical knowledge in the first place. April 1st, 1964. Objective: coordinate the armed forces with the Central Intelligence Agency of the deposal of President João Goulart. Established the Brazilian Superintendents for the Paranormal. This is linked as Grupos de Interesse. Is this international? This is international, I believe. SCP-int. So we can, let me just. Sorry, I just want to double check something just out of interest. SCP-int. This is the international stuff. Okay, that's cool. Which one are we? Brazilian Superintendents for Paranormal. Oh, here we are. Is there a quick? Oh, articles. Oh, a fistful. For Portuguese entries, too. Drugs. Case is this how? I feel like I should recognize this for some reason. Uh, Brazilian Superintendent. Okay, this is basically the Brazilian UIU? Question mark? Polymathic body officers, knowledge of anomalous, non-anomalous sciences. Request access to resources by the branch of the armed forces. It's more like Gru Division P for Brazil, based on having competency, I think. Question mark? Yeah. Uh, anyway, establish the Brazilian Superintendents for the Paranormal. Immediately eliminate all local anti-veil organizations. Outcome: undetermined. Although the junta has seized power, threats to normalcy. Why am I reading these words? Threats to normalcy have persisted, and anti-Foundation elements have successfully expelled MTF Brazil happy again from the favela complex, ultimately ending the integration project. May 17, 1969. Objective: institute thaumaturgy as part of the training for personnel and intelligence services. Expand D-class facilities. Advance the understanding and application of amnestics to the next thaumaturgical step by manipulating reality itself to erase memory into the individual. Outcome is success. November 14, 1973. Objective: assist the armed forces in operations against the Araguaia guerrilla war. Footnote 13 being our movement in Brazil against government acted between 1967 and 1974 in the Araguaia River Basin. Distribute the newly developed amnestic technology to other Latin American branches in preparation for Operation Condor. Outcome: success. There's a photo here. General Ernesto Huesel and Department of Continuity liaison Frederick Portel Ashmoon. Two old, well, I guess one old, one fucking middle-aged man is talking beneath a portrait. Oh, okay, so that's gore. Yeah, that is what it depicts. January 3rd, 1977. Objective: eliminate the Vol Vermelho faction. Outcome: failure. Pictured as an MTF Brazil Happy Again agent fatally shot in the head by Commander Clarissa Falcao during a conflict. I wonder where you got this image. Did you make this image yourself, or you pull up a... I'm not going to zoom in, right, because I don't want me to get flagged, but it's there if you're interested. November 18, 1982. Objective: support and fund emerging democratic movements in opposition to radical factions. Oppose the military business junta and advocate for direct elections. Commenced document disposal. Outcome: success. November 15, 1985. Objective: ensure that no judicial procedures are carried out against those associated with the business military junta. Outcome: success. More corruption, more corruption. What's new? October 2nd, rather, 2015. Objective: support Jair Messias Bolsonaro as a rising political figure opposing the Workers' Party. Footnote here is the center-left ruling party since 2003. Leverage the opposition's efforts to impeach President Dilma Rousseff, suppress SCP-9000. Outcome: success. Pictured as Jair Bolsonaro serving as federal deputy for the Progressists, 2013. That tie sucks. January 17, 2018. Objective: ensure the election of Jair Messias Bolsonaro as the next president of Brazil. Outcome: success. The following is a transcript of an excerpt from a conversation held between Jair Bolsonaro and Foundation liaison Frederick Ashmun on 28 October 2018, after Bolsonaro's victory over Fernando Haddad of the Workers' Party in the general elections. There is a picture of Bolsonaro walking with Ashmun upon his arrival in Brasilia. Audio log. Begin log. Ashmun: good evening, Mr. President. I have to say this wonderful place has not changed in the slightest. Bolsonaro: good evening, sir. It's a pleasure to have people like you here. I hope you enjoy the view as it is now. It took hours to clear the pestistas from the streets. That's pests, isn't it? Isn't that just the word pests? He was referring to the supporters of the Workers' Party. Pestistas. Or is that protesters? I don't know. Ashmun: of course. Ashmun chuckles. Bolsonaro looks around before following Ashmun to a meeting room. Ashmun: first of all, how are you feeling? Tonight is a historic occasion. 16 years of opposition, and now they're the ones opposing you. Bolsonaro: I'm relieved. From now on, I can't picture my beloved country as anything other than what God intended it to be. A free land in the same fashion of the United States. Far from school indoctrination and harmful ideologies. I'd say you've never been this close. Greatness since 1964. Close to greatness since 1964. Free land, for us, whatever. Took a sip. Ashmun coughs, then takes a sip of water from his glass while keeping his eyes on Bolsonaro. Ashmun: those were the times, were they not? Now you get to shape equally decisive turning point for this country. Your vision of a superior nation is the attitude we expect from those who will work at the SB Foundation. Bolsonaro: yes, your foundation. I suppose I could finally know who exactly you are? Ashmun: of course, Mr. President, but I would like to hear from you first. I believe you have known of the foundation for a while now? Bolsonaro: I became aware of it back in military academy. From what I got, you had strong ties to the government at the time, got rid of the problems, and had this thing of containing dangerous magic to keep humanity safe since we can't understand it. Ashmun: you've been misinformed, Mr. President, but for you to assume such a thing is ultimately our fault. Bolsonaro remained silent for a few seconds. I see. I'm sorry. Ashmun: there is no need to apologize. There is no need for apologies. It is important that a few groups hold that image of us, after all. Bolsonaro scratches his eyebrows. Sorry, sir, you're confusing me a bit here. Didn't you promise to help protect Brazil and drive away the devil's power? Ashmun: we are a force of order, Mr. President. We make sure that whatever people aren't meant to see stays in the dark. Whatever people aren't meant to see stays in the dark with us. Bolsonaro: that's good to hear in a sense, but what about that magic part? Ashmun: it is a fact that we're aware of what you label supernatural, but to say we do not comprehend it is untrue. Bolsonaro: you can use magic then. Ashmun: everything in this world is meant to be broken down into base elements and made ordinary. That is not a problem for us. Bolsonaro: but if you understand it, why would you bother? That seems a waste of time. Ashmun: I ask you to think ahead, Mr. President. That will be crucial for the following years of our Brazilian democracy. What if people similar to the Petistas follow this path of discovery or feel motivated by this magic? Bolsonaro: is that what's happening in Brazil right now? Is Lula involved? Lula is Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, the leader of the Workers' Party and 35th president of Brazil from 2003 to 2011. Ashmun: he is not. We believe this case is far more concerning than Lula's, Mr. President. Ashmun begins tapping his fingers against the table. A certain group of people have been using this power to inadvertently spread the idea that Brazil could be something it's not. By the way, there's a photo here of yet another recording. Pictured Tina Braga, an iconic Paysandu Sport Club player, attempts to entertain the crowd during an SCP-9000 broadcast. Uh, Facial distortion. There is a crowd, though, eh? Isn't that something? Bolsonaro. Since when? Ashmun. 1976, when political openness began under General Ernesto Hessel. Ashmun stops. This is why your presence matters, Mr. President. You embody the memory of times of normalcy, fundamental for peace. Bolsonaro. My middle name is Messias for a reason, my friend. You can count on me. February 13, 2019. Objective. Restructure the Foundation's previous position against terrorism, advance operations against anti-Veil organizations, and suppress SCP-9000. The outcome is a failure. One base in the state of Para was lost to Sol Vermelo. February 23, 2020. Objective. Ensure that Bolsonaro's administration does not implement a pandemic response to undermine the activity of Sol Vermelo, suppress SCP-9000. Oh, shit, 2020, I just picked that up. Hey, isn't that fun? Actually tying in some... I like that, that's interesting. Outcome, SCP-9000 has grown in influence. January 1st, 2022. Ensure that the opposition is unable to vote in the upcoming general elections. Guarantee the re-election of Jair Bolsonaro. Suppress SB9000. Outcome failure, thankfully. Fucking A. On the 15th of January 2023, 1 week after supporters of Jair Bolsonaro attacked Brazil's federal government buildings in response to the inauguration of Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva as the country's 39th president, Ashmun was dispatched to Brazil to sever ties with Bolsonaro indefinitely. Begin log. Ashmun. Mr. Bolsonaro, we are afraid that your past decisions have made it impossible for the Foundation to continue working with you. Bolsonaro. How come? You have to believe me here. Under no circumstances I would have lost. Ashmun does not answer. Bolsonaro. Frederick, you're stressing me out. Ashmun. Pardon me? Frederick? Bolsonaro. Yes, you, Frederick. You don't see me as the worthy ally I am. Ashmun. You could have waited for evaluation, as discussed, then retreated briefly in order to reconstruct your political career and possibly win the next elections. You should not have relied on your supporters to keep you in a position you had already lost. Bolsonaro. I would never sit idly by and watch my people cry out for help. Don't judge me when there's a real chance for communism, for SB9000 to take over my nation and lead our children down a path of depravity. Bolsonaro pounds the table in front of him. Funnily enough, I wanted to do the same, but my table is full of stuff. Bolsonaro. I blame this on the Chinese. They created a disease that killed those who did not exercise properly, and the blame fell on me for not buying a vaccine that could turn you into a reptile. His words, not mine. Just want that noted. Bolsonaro sighs. Ashman glances at his wristwatch. Bolsonaro. So what now? Are you people working with Lula? Ashman. We must come to terms with him to ensure he does not disrupt our activities. Bolsonaro. You don't. Oh, you don't. Pictured is the invasion of the National Congress Palace. People standing in the square. Brazil's colors. Come to Brazil. Oh, they're all wearing Brazil colors. Ashmun. As someone of Italian descent, Mr. Bolsonaro, you should know that an idea can live even if a man dies. Okay. We still believe there is potential in your movement, albeit under different leadership. Bolsonaro. But I was the one who did all of it. Do you think this foundation of yours can do everything alone? You can't leave me behind. Ashmun. I reiterate, someone else will carry the green, blue, and yellow flag that you care for so deeply. There is no need to worry. Bolsonaro approaches Ashmun. Look at the current situation in this country. The people love me. They want me. They voted for me. Silence for a few seconds. I have become the greatest leader of Brazil. This is the best opportunity to cement our position. Footnote 17. It was later discovered that Bolsonaro himself, along with close allies of the armed forces, had also planned to subvert the transition of power to Lula and suspend government institutions to consolidate control of the federal administration. Ashman. It is the best opportunity in the entire world. In fact, we are confident that Mr. Trump will win our next elections, and his presence alone will be enough to strengthen the Bolsonarism and the like. Bolsonaro. I'm not talking about that, you. Ashmun stands up and begins to walk off. Bolsonaro. Look at me. This is our chance to secure the future of Brazil. Of the people. Ashmun. Please detach yourself from us. Bolsonaro tries to advance but freezes. We both know that I'm not the Foundation's enemy. You'll have to come back. Ashmun. Mr. Bolsonaro, be aware that it may be dangerous to be the enemy of the Foundation, but a former friend is fatal. But to be a former friend is fatal. Following this conversation at 11:23 p.m., Frederick Ashmun proceeded to the Brasilia International Airport. While waiting for departure, he was ambushed by a unit of the Sol Vermelho faction acting under the orders of Commander Clarissa Falcao. The communication was lost shortly thereafter. January 18, 2023. Objective. Eliminate the Sol Vermelho faction and SCP-9000 by all means necessary. Outcome is pending. Addendum 03, the Chaos Insurgency in Brazil. Allow me a minute to sip some more water. Well, it's this completely chemical tasting synthetic drink, but I like it. The first Chaos Insurgency units in Brazil were founded in 1939 through an alliance of anarchists, nationalists, and communists connected to esoteric practices in opposition to the persecution of President Getulio Vargas's dictatorial government, as well as in response to the arrival of the first foundation cells. In the early years of the business-military junta cycle, the organization gained its contemporary notoriety by directing an insurgent process that seized 3 foundation operational bases located in northern Brazil. That's a mouthful. Freeing dissidents who had been detained by the government. Under the direction of Mirela Cruz and Hugo Lisboa, it is believed that 3,100 personnel were mobilized for armed combat against Foundation officers. In 1976, following the split that gave rise to Sol Vermelho, 2 of these bases were retained, and 91% of the former D-class personnel decided to join the faction. The technological innovations currently employed by Sol Vermelho are the likely result of all the material and research stolen during this conflict, including paratechnology likely used to facilitate the manifestation of SCP-9000. Pictured is Commanders Mirela Cruz and Hugo Lisboa alongside the recently freed D-class personnel Clarissa Falcao, following the conquering of a Foundation operative base on June 27, 1969. Following the declaration of war, Sol Vermelho would advance to seize 17 additional Foundation bases and intervene in all attempts to investigate local supernatural phenomena. Recent studies indicate that the total number of organized members is 19,500. The Sol Vermelho's main propaganda vehicles are the newspaper, the People's Front, and clandestine radio channels concealed by paranormal codification. One example of each is available below. The People's Front. This is the newspaper. The People's Front. Date November 26, 2023. Note: the interview below has been recovered from an international issue of the People's Front newspaper. It was conducted by communist militant Luisa Chisola from the Red faction of Angola's Chaos Insurgency. They interviewed as Commander Mirela Cruz, who employed advanced thaumaturgy to halt aging, similar to companions. Interesting. Chisola. What are the main differences between Sol Vermelho and other Chaos Insurgency groups when it comes to opposition to the Foundation? Cruz. Our organization stems from a fundamental divergence regarding the existence of the Foundation itself. To us, the destruction of the Foundation should equate to the destruction of the United States imperialism in its entirety and the greatest enemy of the Brazilian people for decades now. Chisola. Could you explain how that came to be? Cruz. Once the first alliances were forged in 1939, the consensus was that the Foundation itself embodied the main contradiction we faced. However, when it thoroughly aided the military in their rise to power, with the backing of our landowners, bankers, and industrialists, it became clear that we couldn't oppose the rule while treating them as a separate force in the system. Chisola. And how was the Sol Vermelho faction born in the first place? Cruz. Following our heroic victories against the reactionaries, a right-wing opposition within our organization argued that we should retreat so as to not advance recklessly. Although every subsequent encounter with the Foundation proved successful, the Red Massacre would be invoked as a pretext to undermine our achievements. When a vote was ultimately held to decide whether our current tactics should be abandoned or not, the split materialized. We don't regret it in the slightest. Chisola. When the Chaos Insurgency is now described as an instrument to liberate the people, does this necessarily imply a violent movement? Cruz. Oh, by the way, here are the 3 main symbols incorporated by the Sol Vermelho faction. All of them are stylized after the Chaos Insurgency symbol. The red circle in the center is, of course, the hammer and sickle, communism. 2 of them have crossed AKs, though where they're placed differs. The bottom one is the most true to the original image. Pretty fun. I like this one a lot. I love the fucking swirl. Cruz. We do make history, but not of our own choosing. We make history according to the conditions imposed by the world around us. Make no mistake, we desire the end of all wars, yet how does one fight an army without an army of their own? Any accusation that the people are violent is itself a confession. Simply put, you cannot vote the O5 Council out. Chisola. But when the Chaos Insurgency assists the people in their liberation, is this carried out from aristocratic perspective? Cruz. Never. Transformation simply demands that those who are prepared in advance equally prepare those who aren't. We want to help. Think of the Chaos Insurgency as a seed, while the people constitute the fertile soil that will allow this new world to flourish. I'm getting tongue-tied. Chisola. Do you think this revolutionary movement will be successful? Cruz. What I think doesn't matter. What matters is that those who fight alongside me continue the struggle, even if the enemy's bullets make me physically disappear. You see, the masses can never be destroyed in their entirety, and no tsunami will be turned back once the earthquake is struck. Chisola. If the Brazilian revolutionary movement succeeds, what becomes of the Chaos Insurgency? What can guarantee victory will last? Cruz. History has shown us that movements like ours do not succeed merely by seizing political power. The transformation must be cultural, too. The fundamental mission of our vanguard, once the tools to reshape society are placed in the hands of the masses, the only ones capable of wielding them, is to demonstrate a new way of thinking it. Chisola. Could that mean a free Brazil would try to force its neighbors to follow the same path of cultural tensions? Cruz. I'm sorry, but that's laughable. Chisola. Could you elaborate? Cruz. Of course you want our neighbors to go the same route, but that's not up to us. Brazil will assist the masses against the many imperialist threats, the United States, China, Russia, Israel, the United Kingdom, and so on, but only when a proper mass movement exists to begin with. If people don't call for revolution, if there's no vanguard to guide them, what's the point? We're not adventurers. Tusola. What if power is retaken by the old world? Is there any hope for the revolution? Cruz. The ideological transformation is intended to prepare the masses for counterattack. Every oppressed individual is a revolutionary, and every revolutionary must know how to wield their weapon. Chisola. What are your weapons, Miss Cruz? Cruz. We've been training our warriors in thaumaturgy for decades, and we've also learned to harness the power of the memories imposed on us by the reactionaries. That, without a doubt, is our greatest achievement so far. Chisola. How come? Cruz. The rage carried from generation to generation has now taken a life of its own and will haunt them forever. This is what they've named SCP-9000. Ooh, that's fun. That's really fun. Chisola. Considering everything you've just said, what will happen if the masses are rendered powerless following the revolution? Cruz. The new society will be crushed, simple as that. Terror will rise again, masquerading as a mass movement while crushing the people under its boot. And still, I know hope won't be lost because it will find a way to be reborn. Gisola. Before we conclude, I'd like to thank you for your time, Miss Cruz. You're a very kind woman. Do you have any final thoughts to what you would like to share with our readers? Cruz. The pleasure is all mine. Modern times are reminding the people that change is inevitable. We believe the red sun will shine again and again, as many times as necessary across the globe. Either we're all free or no one is. End log. Audio log. Date. February 17, 2024. Note, below is an audio transcription for video featuring Commander Hugo Lisboa, which autoplayed following the broadcast of several SCP-9000 matches across the country. Maybe we can't do 3. I looked at the time. It's 46 minutes so far. I guess reading it aloud is a lot slower than actually reading it myself. Anyway. Whoops. Almost knocked over my fucking computer. Begin log. I now address all the Brazilian people who have endured more suffering than they could bear. I address the workers, poor peasants, students, teachers, journalists, and intellectuals, priests and bishops, the youth and the women of Brazil. What you have just witnessed is your heart unmasked. Through termination, decommissioning, and memory wiping, the group known as the SP Foundation has blinded millions of eyes that were born to see for far too long. The oppressed do not dare to break the cycle anymore. They have announced time and time again that it is the only possible outcome. Let the rage within you rise. Know that your place is anywhere but where you are now. Stand up and fight against imperialism, as the devil that torments Brazil cannot see how his own infernal boils now and turns against him. This is our chance. Nothing is permanent. There is no structure in this world that will not one day return to dust. Hey! Hey! Wait a minute. How did I not catch that? Our veins may run open, but our blood will never run dry. Raise the veil, raise the masses, raise the foundation. That is also a badass slogan. Alright. Kill normalcy propaganda poster, October 2009. Loved this article. You know, hey, how can I not, given that I'm Hispanic? Uh, never think I ever did mention. One of my favorite pieces of world building is propaganda poster world building. I don't know how if I'm gonna be very good at breaking it down, but let's fucking try, yeah. And then immediately I immediately give up. Holy shit! No, wait, no, actually there are things to point out. Note the shape of the snake, right? I won't say it because I don't think I can on a video, but note the shape of the snake. I'm tracing it. Obviously killing it, you know, spurring to action. Getting the idea in your head. Snake has allusions to the devil, right? Given Genesis, the Garden of Eden, and all that. It's over here in the corner. Something you can just easily pop in, pop out. I love it, and obviously, you know, the symbolism of going to war and all that. This in red and black to both be encouraging colors and to intimidating stuff like that. Its point is, even if I'm shit at explaining it and other stuff like that, I fucking love this image. This is badass. Raise the veil, raise the masses, raise the foundations. Foundation there. Oh, hey, you can collapse these? Never noticed anyone do that. Whenever my thing goes through, I'll definitely put upvotes on stuff. Local, I forget which, okay, local lesbian commie, that was a damn good file. I always forget which ones come first in your name. Maybe we actually can do 3 if this one is short? I don't, I don't, have faith in it being short, though. As all of these have been pretty long, with the exception of Pizza Freak, but even then, that was a half an hour. Anyway, next, man, what can I say for this outside of it's fucking awesome, right? I loved it, in a sentence. Again, best articles are like Tales, and the Anomaly took a backseat for that. I liked it. I like it a lot. Definitely deserves all the votes. The Archaic by Harmacy. Nice name, by the way, Harmacy. Alright. Is that a ghost? Seems it. Sorry, just taking a sip. By the way, if this title is definitely just gonna be called Come to Brazil, though. No matter, I like trying to mix them in with the fucking titles, like I did with that. Like I did with. Was it the one I just did last? I don't remember in what order I uploaded these things. No, like I did with the fourth one of these I put up. I was very proud of that title, by the way. And the last one, like I want to mix in the different files when I read them, but also Come to Brazil is so fucking funny. So unless I can find an easy segue, that's probably gonna be the title for this one. You'll know, I won't. 9000 the Archaic. Item number SB-9000. Is this a short one? Not especially. Well, I guess kind of. I saw the little scroll wheel go up and down. Item number SB-9000. Object class Euclid. Ugh. Alright, passed quickly, thank you. Special containment procedures. As an entity primarily based in concept, influence. As an entity primarily based in concept, the influence of SB-9000 primarily manifests as large-scale empathetic resonance towards populations experiencing mass grief, loss, or other forms of dispossession. Until 2025, direct efforts have been primarily centered around suppressing the vectors of this spread, including an excess of shared memory, ritual, and attention, rather than towards the entity itself. The Department of Continuity. Oh, shit. Another one? Hold on. There's a way I can. Wait, is. Where are you? How did I lose track? Oh, it is. Okay. Alright. We're having back to back these. Alright. Good. Maybe I can put an easy segue. We'll see. The Department of Continuity is tasked with the testing and implementation of new efforts intended to more directly target SB-9000 under the project name Operation E-. Current items include, before I get into that, I just want to make a note of the picture. Caption, SB-9000 recorded the burial of blank blank, a young farmhand by his father and brother. Bit of a sad sight. I like their dress, though. The way they're dressed, not the I mean, unless... Eh. Anyway. Current items include continuous deployment of modified Scranton reality anchors, or SRAs, to dampen empathetic resonance aimed towards high-risk geographical locations. Okay. Reclassification of affected cultural anomalies to memeto-empathetic hazards and proper neutralization when possible. Amnestization of personnel demonstrating effects in line with SB-9000 influence, with priority being given to staff. Sorry, cracked my back. 1. Experiencing spontaneous feelings of affection or affinity towards otherwise non-human targets. Oh, okay. This is how this one's going to go then. Or 2. Staff members descending from aforementioned high-risk regions. Description. SB-9000 designates a trans-temporal entity inhabiting the human noosphere referred to colloquially as the God of Empathy. Encounters with SB-9000, both in and outside of the human dreamscape, have shown it to be sustained as well as capable of amplifying the collective human compassion, mourning, and aspiration. Unlike most deities, SB-9000 is unable to manifest willingly, although it can be summoned by acts or gestures from humans falling within its domain. These invocations do not seem to need to be directed at SB-9000. Historically, most SCP-9000 manifestations have occurred in conflict zones. However, following a rise in both global geopolitical struggle and activism within the 21st century, several behavioral modifications have been noted within the whole of humanity. These modifications were most prominent of individuals raised with Western ideals involved with the shift from individualistic to communal or collective interest. Statistics regarding how these manifestations affect Foundation personnel have been noted below. So we have a few bar graphs. One is 1975, one is 2025. Uh, Nothing reaches 100%. The lowest we ever reach is sub 25%, more around maybe even sub 10%. But for the reversal of anesthetization, what does this say? Percentage of activities deemed deviant or unauthorized. Release of detained persons spiked above 50% within 2025, was sub 25% in 1975, roughly 15-ish percent, maybe below 20. Reversal of anesthetization, the highest is 2025, sub 25%, and lowest ever for any of these graphs for 1975, which is probably below even 5%. Diplomatic outreach, nearly 75% in 2025, as of in 1975, almost 25%. Terminating anomalies or persons, 2025 is below 25%, whereas in 1975 it was nearly 100%, somewhere around 90% of activities deemed deviant or unauthorized. Containment equipment malfunctions, 25% of 2025, a little bit over in 1975. Total mission failures, almost 50% in 1975, a little bit below 25% in 2025. I don't know if anything I just said made sense to you guys, but I was basically just reading bar graphs. Executive Meeting 9000-001. Location, Department of Continuity, Sub-Level B, Conference Room 009. Participants, Director Caldor, Department of Continuity. Caldor Drago. Why did I think of that? That's a Warhammer name, right? I don't know shit about... Fuck. So, Dr. Clarice Keller, SCP-2188, Certified Anesthesiologist. Dr. John Blake, Tactical Theology. Another Tactical Theology entry, huh? Begin log. Caldor. I am Kito Sicarius. Caldor. Fuck you. SCP-8952's livestream did not bypass our systems and web crawlers. It echoed through and above them, propagated by collective human intent. Ergo, this is a manifestation event. Collective viewer desire to perceive the vessel is what initiated the data breach. 8952, you say? On the shores of Gaza. This one is another department entry, isn't it? If it is, doesn't say. I should keep this open. Thank you for linking this. Oh, by Harmony as well. Oh, are we going to see this one for Harmacy, or is this just another one? Weird. Looks sick though. Uh, Ergo, this was a manifestation event. Collective viewer desire to perceive the vessel is what initiated the data breach. Blake sneers at the word manifestation. It's a dirty word. Oh, okay. We're doing like I said. I think it's fun when these notes and stuff don't use clinical tone, but instead are a bit more casual. It's always fun to me. Sneers at the word manifestation. It's a dirty word, rolling off Caldor's tongue with hesitation and disgust. Only Keller seems to give pause. Caldor continues. Manifestation anomalies are ordinarily small enough to be individually contained. An event of this scale surpasses current framework, policy, and continuity. Consequences will be semiotic recursion. Yeah, semiotic recursion. Mimetic cross-contamination. Already, structured empathy is traveling across socio-political fault lines. Weird. It's destabilizing, and it's corrosive to the institution upon which we are founded. Blake. This type of empathy, the organized and loud sort, is a blight. A cancerous indulgence for one mistakes for virtue. We've already scrubbed cults from collective memory before. We've castrated gods and cast them from reality. Why would this undo us, this inhuman softness? Haldor, because it is inconceivably human, more so than anything else in the human mind. And that is the source of danger. Tactical theology has dealt with gods that you, and that is the source of danger. Should there be a comma here? Tactical theology has dealt with gods that used empathy as a vector. Here, you are correct in that it is the source of infections. Dropped my cap again. There we are. Let me take a sip. There we go. Keller. Once an infection realizes you've realized it's there, I mean, I guess that is like how I would also speak, but like, fuck, that feels weird to say. Once an infection realizes you've realized it's there, it'll do everything in its power to fight back. It has no reason left to hold back, no? Taldor. Already it has become a threat. Agents within active breaches hesitate before terminating. Some personnel have been dreaming of the memories of anomalies. These are small but present events. Once containment becomes deliberation, delay becomes death. Blake. Then purge it. Pull it out by its root. Empathy isn't divine, but it is how this god bleeds. And it's how these patterns metastasize from a group of backwards activists to our agents and personnel. Love, caring. We should have known that the first lie. We should have known that's the first lie mimetic virus would tell. Kind of almost feels like 5,000, but it's been fucking ages since I read 5,000, so yeah. Not an insult, of course. Absolutely not an insult. That one won its contest for a fucking reason, after all. Keller, you do realize that what you're advocating for, full spiritual cauterization, full excision of one of the core aspects of humanity. Blake, I'm simply acknowledging the price. Please, GD, don't kill yourself. What is this? Nice. On a dream hub, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, SCP-6109. Please, GD, don't kill yourself. Yeshua the Christ, Logos, Son of G-D, Son of Yosef, fully human, fully divine, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, born from the Virgin Miriam, made whole through the communion with the Spirit, through his baptism by... What is this? If I go through this, I'm gonna have like... Okay. That's a sign. Maybe not. How many links are there's just one link. Then again, if I go through all of these... At the time. I'm simply, because I'll lose fucking plot so fast. I'm simply acknowledging the price. Tactical theology isn't about salvation or spiritualism. It was created to sterilize, to prune. Empathy allows aberrant self-destruction to masquerade as mercy. We nearly lost the lattice of Abrahamic society when Christ himself stood atop the Palestinian Trade Center prepared to cast himself down. He tried to die, not symbolically or ritually, but literally. Jesus fucking Christ? Yes, and it wasn't a containment failure, it was a compassion event. Not even symbolic or ritual death. He just couldn't take it anymore. The prayers, the lullabies, the whispers, those people make him feel, make him remember, infected him with empathy, made him understand, but we don't need that understanding from gods or people. We need him obedient, we need him to forget, and that's when Palestine has become the world's largest conjuration circle. Oh, I think I know what's going to happen. Indeed, anomalous field volatility has increased across Gaza, Nablus, Henin, and Jerusalem. Spikes correlate not with regional strikes, but with the communal mourning that follows. More so, if the event is broadcasted, they're seeding the whole place with an empathetic charge, and anomalies bloom from it. Oh, sorry, Kaldor said that. I keep forgetting to say the names. Keller. Where do you draw the line between blooming or purposely growing, fueling whatever it is they're fueling, and bearing witnesses? Whoops, someone message me? No, my fucking... I didn't ask you to send this, what the hell? There, Discord's freaking out on me. What's fucking new? You know when you send a link and it sends it twice, and the second time it says message failed to... Like, I didn't send it twice, it just sent it twice for me, but the second time failed to send or whatever. It tried to resend it. It never told us to fucking do that. Blake, witnesses are the fuel. We cannot stop them from witnessing, so we will simply stop them from feeling. Keldor. Which is why the Department of Continuity proposes Operation E-. The cutting of this anomalous infection where it stands. Empathy. In the particular empathy towards inhuman subjects, anomalies, or parties, including the Palestinian... Yep, there it is. Will be reclassified as mimetic hazard, and worldwide reality anchors will be tuned to suppress this change. Effective vocabulary will be pruned from worldwide text and internets. SCP-8675 and SCP-8491 will be recontextualized as offshoots of the same mimetic empathetic hazard. Control F. 86. Nope. And 84. 8474, but not 8491. Okay. So those are both not part of this, but reference. Okay, that's nice. Uh, SCP-8491 will be recontextualized as offshoots of the same meadow empathetic hazard. The same category applied to all future Palestinian-related anomalies or cultural resistance. Keller, I don't think this fits the definition of containment. This is euthanasia. You're cultivating apathy, worldwide apathy, so it appears as peace. Blake, I don't care what it. What the hell is this image? Blake, I don't care what it appears to be. Simply what survives. Tact Theo doesn't worship gods, it erases them, especially when those gods take the form of wounded children and dying mothers, because their worship is the most contagious. They cause the most disruption. Keldor, our responsibility is normalcy, not kindness or conscience, only continuity. Keller, and when the only thing left to perceive is machine? Keldor, we've succeeded. Keller, you two do as you wish to proceed. You'll have my signature on whatever paperwork for the subcommittee, but you'll have my support or agreement. A sentiment echoed too often. She stands silly, but Blake blocks her path. Caldor, there's another reason you're here, Keller. Blake, tactical Theo secure the subject. Keller, you caught her? The projector faintly flickers to light. I don't know how to describe this image. It looks like a bereaved woman wandering through I guess like a, oh, I presume this is like a place that got bombed. It looks like a hospital ward that was, like I said, bombed or something to that effect. I don't know. It's hard to make out. This might be. Oh, I don't think they're body bags. Anyway, Blake, 16 hours ago, in the ruins of Ramallah, attempting to evacuate a family from an incoming airstrike into the dreamscape, we captured her mid-invocation between incarnational states. She's vulnerable. Temporal drag is active, but ontological field should be stable enough for you to do operation. Keller, how about the family after you captured him? Keldor and Blake give Keller nasty looks. Blake, now if you kill a god like this, it's always the risk they'll regenerate, but there's other ways to neutralize him. We need you to do it. Not cognitively, not conceptually, surgically. You want me to perform SCP-2188 on a god? I don't think I know 2188. Whoops. Just really quick, I guess I might have got newcomers here. 2188. Whoops. I make that mistake every now and again. Wait. Anesthesiologic... Anesthesiologic conceptual overload. Sorry, Pelchi with the description. Medical procedure known as the title. One of the 6 ethically approved amnestization methods. Serves to both coerce and destroy concepts within a person's mind. Okay, so it's using thaumaturgy to fucking nuke someone's brain. Foundation made... Okay. Anyway. Blake, you're the only one with experience that has the clearance. Keller, I'm out of practice, and we've always used that type of amnestization for small memories, not personal human concepts. Blake, then it is a good thing I brought you a test subject. You should be joining us any minute now. Keller, you talk about survival like it's the victory here, but survival isn't worth it if you forget why you wanted to live in the first place. Blake, then forget, that's the point. Kaldor, our survival is not the desire to live, but the continuity of humanity. And continuity is not the absence of patterns, but the careful curation of one. You must understand the sacrifice amongst others have always been required. These guys fucking suck. Oh! I didn't... Oh, hell. I reached back to grab my phone to quickly, like, check to see if what happened, and my wire, I didn't notice my arm was in my wire, and I almost knocked over my damn computer. Procedure log 9000-S-2188-integration trial. Location, Department of Continuity, Bernheim Room. Participants. Subject, Junior Researcher Salam Narhin, Tactical Theology of Palestinian Descent. Oh. Anesthesiologist, Dr. Clarice Keller. Observing, Dr. John Blake, Tactical Theology. Begin log. Dr. John Blake walks purposefully through the corridor while Junior Researcher Narhin hurries to keep pace. Her notebook is clutched to her chest and her face and voice are bright, too bright. Ah, hell. Dear college, that's... What the fuck? Whatever, it's me here. How do I, let's see, who's of interest? Deer College in the Three Portlands. One of my favorite GOIs. Well, Three Portlands is, but one of my favorite GOIs. I fucking one of the co-founders of Blue Gamers Against Weed. I fucking love the Three Portlands so much. By the way, UIU. I love the UIU doing fucking anything, even once. Oh man, look, it's a shit ton of world building, dude. It was so fun to read this the first time around. I recommend anyone read through this. Whoops, that's the wrong. my fault. I recommend anyone read through all of this. It looks a little bit boring, but believe me, it's actually really fun. I had a great time when I read this. All of this is I love it. No time to be sad again. Naheen. I wanted to say again, Dr. Blake, it's surreal to have the opportunity to work with you. You practically made the theology curriculum at Deer College with your own work on psychotopography of St. Bernard's collapse. I've read your papers on worship about a dozen times and annotated them in 5 colors. Your writing, the prospect that we risk idolizing the destruction of our idols, God, the layers of appreciation it gave me for Tact Theo, it changed me. Blake says nothing. The sound of their footsteps echo through the hallway. Narheen continues to speak. You're fucking killing me here. You know, I studied toxicology after my PhD. I thought I would go into drug development and risk assessment, but after 8491, seeing what memory could do to matter and the blood that came with belief, I peeked behind the veil and I saw the madness behind it. I transferred to theology because if I could use my knowledge to kill the gods that wanted to hurt us and save the ones who could do us good, then I could be part of the cure. I could do more than just catalog the world's wounds. More walking, more silence. Narheen. I'm sorry for going heavy on the praise, but Project Decidium, I've read the documents, well, whatever's available to me, front to back. Do you know what an honor it is to be in this hallway, besides the likes of you? It's everything I wanted when I joined the Foundation. I used to joke I'd give both my kidneys to observe a 6659 activation, and the fact I wasn't just cleared to assist, but called on. Blake, you shouldn't joke about giving parts of yourself away. Not here. You don't know what rogue deity could take you up on the offer. Nareen, well, no, sorry, I meant figuratively. Stakes are high, but don't worry about me. I know this is real. I know it isn't a metaphor. Gods aren't metaphors. Gods are real, and everything we do and say here affects them as much as they affects them as Mr. You there, as much as they affect. What? Everything we do and say here affects them as much as they affect our. Something about that feels weird. That is our reality, and it's breathless. Her voice shows off, and she smells. I know we aren't here to look at the big picture, but when you do, it's all a bit beautiful in a way. Blake, if you think this is beautiful, you're a liability. Narheen stops walking. Blake doesn't. She runs after him again. Fucking hurting me so much, dude. I feel so fucking bad. All in a good way, I promise you. This is a phenomenal article so far. Blake, worship is war. Feed something with attention, you give it teeth. Bow and it will break your bones to build a knife. Every bright-eyed intern in Tact Theo wants poetry and hope, but all we're working with is weaponized belief systems and merch cities. Narheen, if you said we risk idolizing the destruction of our gods, how do you not fall into that if all you're working with here is destruction? Blake, is idolizing destruction the only part you heard? You're doing the very thing I said not to do, treating me like a god of your theology clubs, quoting me in the barracks, burning offerings at the altar of my footnotes. You misunderstood everything. Silence again. Narheen shrinks, slumps. Let me sip some water. Drop my fucking cap. Ugh. Shouldn't lean down. Yeah. He didn't explain himself, by the way. Narheen, I want to be useful and I want to help. That's why I joined Tact Theo, because I saw firsthand the powers of memories and belief. I want that power to help my family, my community. Blake, then stop talking and start following orders. 2 minutes later, Blake and Narheen arrive at the Bernheim room. Transcription of procedure begins. Narheen, this is where the briefing is? This is my first time deploying in a long time, so I may be out of practice. Still, it's nice to know I'm trusted with this. I wanted to thank you all for the opportunity. 0003. Or at 3 minutes? There's a second. This is minutes. Oh, it's fucking hurting me as I'm reading ahead by accident. An attendant offers Narheen a gown. She changes behind a partition, then emerges with her ID badge clipped onto her new attire. Narheen, I have so many questions about the Dreamwalk calibration. I recognize those as Nabarahine's sequence goggles. Do they? Dr. Keller, Salam, please lay down. Narheen, oh, right, sorry. Do you need my hijab off? Fucking heart. I don't know why that hurt me so bad. 0006. The assistant nods and Narheen complies. Nose, ears, and mouth are flushed. Restraints are applied to wrists, ankles, and forehead. Narheen continues smiling absent-mindedly. This is fucking hurting me so bad. Oh my god, you did amazing work. I forgot your name. I'm so sorry. You did amazing work, Harmacy. Oh, this one hurts. This one hurts. Narheen, do you know if I'll get to see the new god during this mission? They didn't tell me anything of her domain, but I could smell seawater on their breath when they spoke of her. Oh, oh wait, a saline ship is inserted. Antiseptics are sprayed. The room is cooled to 12.5 degrees Fahrenheit, degrees Celsius. Narheen, I heard they found her in Ramallah. Do you think she remembers anyone from there? Oh. This fucking hurts, dude. Oh nine. An electric razor is used to remove the middle 2 inches of Narheen's hair. She lurches against her restraints. Narheen, no! Keller, stop moving. Narheen, I thought you were gonna braid it? Keller, be still. This is required. Oh, fuck, it's perfectly written. Fuck you, it's perfect. 11. Narheen whimpers. Her hair is shaved. Crown contact nozzles are affixed. Blake watches from observation deck. Keller whispers. Blake, proceed. Keller, I'm sorry. This feels like a mistake. 11, 10, but then it continues back to 17. The time might want to check that. Uh, First mimetic phrase interval begins. Bird, poem, paper, fly, home, home, home. The room vibrates as the first phrase cycle cascade begins. The EEG leaps. Narheen stiffens, her eyes roll back. Above her, she perceives several SCP-8675 paper bird instances circling in perfect ellipses. They're made of a myriad of official documentation. Birth certificates, traffic citations, divorce papers, voting ballots, all bear Narheen's handwriting despite being more than they can feasibly be written or accumulated in a single lifetime. Narheen, they're not supposed to be here. The birds went to Gaza. They're not supposed to be here. One bird crumples and falls down to her level, unfurling in front of her to reveal a line in place of her signature. Please God, forgive me, I tried. 17. 17 minutes. Second mimetic phrase interval begins. Gate, checkpoint, grave, border, border, border. The birds remain. Beneath them, the floor bakes and bursts into a sun-blasted courtyard as the bleeding tree rises through the tile. Its roots enrapture the gurney, holding her down in every place that the restraints already aren't. From the trunk, a pair of familiar eyes stare down at her. Before the branches bend down to cover them, in place of the leaves are a tiny I voted sticker, or tiny I voted stickers, the same types given out at American elementary schools. As they hang over Narheen's face, red sap drips onto her forehead. Narheen, my cousins are scared they'll bleed every time they cross a checkpoint. I'm the one who lives here. I'm the one that's supposed to have the power to not make them endure such hardships. Oh, you poor fucking... Oh, sorry, I can't read this. Footnote, please? Okay. Uh, I didn't know if it was because it looks weird. It's not red as I'm trying to say. The tree whispers to her in a Midwestern accent, the same voice of her counselor. First generation American. Coexistence is possible. Her ID badge still clipped to her gown suddenly feels heavier. Narheen. In Arabic, she says, I have hope. Oh, the birds freeze midair. They were drinking sap from the bleeding tree. Armacy, you fucking hurt me. 21 minutes, EEG stabilizes. Blake frowns. Keller injects more hypnotic. Third interval begins. Olive, sacrifice, knowledge, silence, silence, silence. She stands in a garden, planting an olive tree her best friend bought her. The next day, she is on stage, graduating. The mortarboard being tossed into the air and grandparents on speakerphone asking what's next with her life. She knows what they're truly asking. What will she do to make all this trouble worth it? 2 years later, she's yelling in the university streets, camping on the lawns, chanting her truth. Nothing else mattered, nothing else was worth it in those moments. If everyone made sacrifices, couldn't she too? Narhin. There's nowhere else to go back to, and there's nowhere else left to turn. If the tree remembers and the dust recollects, why should I forget? Why should I with voice dare be silent? 25 minutes. Subject screams, enters a semi-lucid state. She claws against restraints until her skin splits. Blake. She's almost clean, let her finish. Narhin. No. You said worship grows teeth, but I won't let you take this. If I must stand before God, let me have an answer. Otherwise, I would rather make a knife from my bones and plunge it in my own heart. Keller, increasing sedative. Narhin. Return in Arabic, is what she says. 28 minutes. Final phrase. Interval. Forget, 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 forget. This link doesn't say. Oh, okay. Instead of an encampment, she sees a lecture hall. Paper birds unfold into report cards and children's drawings. There's no longer a bleeding tree, only a treehouse, then a stack of mortgage paperwork. There's no other thought, no more memories, only silence. In Arabic, she says, Keeper of olives with bleeding veins, though I can offer you meat nor grain. Can't, because no. I will start from the beginning. Keeper of olives with bleeding veins, though I can offer you meat nor grain, gather my birds when their papers are torn, anchor my spirit when my nation is born, bind my roots to where borders cross, harbor my voice across the seas of loss. When my name fades, let my branches still grow. God of mercy and compassion, don't let me go. Dr. Keller, Dr. Keller. It's done, Blake. Blake. Good. Narheen was the trial. Let's hope the real surgery goes as smoothly. Fuck you. My heart hurts. Does that mean I'm affected by SCP-9000? Feeling a lot of empathy for that girl. Fucking brutal, dude. You plunged your fist into my chest cavity, tore out my heart, dude. It's great, I love it. Procedure log 9000-S-2188-follow-up. Location, Department of Continuity, Courtyard 184-A. Time, 1.5 hours following Procedure 2188-Narhin. Participants, Junior Researcher Salam Narhin, Tactical Theology. Dr. Clarice Keller, 2188, Certified Anesthesiologist. Begin log. The courtyard appears perfectly kept and soothing. Grass is manicured, a ring of benches provides optimal lighting, and a koi pond is accessible via stairway. In the center of it all is a waist-high plinth carrying what appears to... For a second I thought, oh, plinth, that's different. Carrying what appears to be a floating geometric lantern, but what is in actuality any Foundation agent with proper clearance could tell you was SCP-184. I recognize the number, though not why. What? Wait, example.com, what? What? Weird. Architect. Yep. Small smooth metallic object, 10 centimeters, 4 inches tall, and 10 centimeters, 4 inches wide. Ship of the dodecahedron, each face is a circular hole in the center, small spheres attached to each vertex, made of unknown high magnetic alloy, about as hard as brass. Creates... Expands subjects interdimensional, altering outer dimensions. Oh, so it makes, like, tesseracts, then? Will increase inner dimensions of any enclosed structure by several hundred meters each day, beginning 1 hour after entry. It typically only expands the walls out, causing rooms to be larger without reducing height. Expansion continues until it's been tripled. After this point, it starts creating wholly new rooms, apparently able to copy items from inside the structure, creating furnace rooms consistent with the rest. Okay, so I like this. This is an interesting little creature. Well, object, but interesting little creature. Alternate character interpretations. Wiki out making a scene. Tails, I presume then. It's fun. Okay, that's it. That's fun. I like that. Let me take another sip. It is suspended electromagnetically and marked by hidden sensors, though otherwise appears to be normal decoration. Darheen appears enraptured with the spectacle. She sits on the bench closest to SCP-184, her notebook open on her knees as she watches and sketches the item intently. The only sign of her recent operation is the hospital bracelet encircling her wrist, as her gown has long been swapped for a thick foundation hoodie. Is her hijab back? As Keller enters the courtyard, Narheen jolts to attention and smiles. Keller, you look comfortable. Narheen, I am. It's an odd feeling, not unwelcome, but odd. I mean, I can't remember the mission at all, but it feels like after a long run, or a long, productive day of work. When you're sore but light, and you know you've done good. Like I did something important, and I can rest easy now, napping in the sun and enjoying life. She points to the dodecahedron in the center of the courtyard. What's that, if you're allowed to tell me? It's gorgeous. Keller, SCP-194, it's being used for recursive testing, hence it being suspended out in the open instead of locked in a box. Right now, it's more well guarded than it appears. Narheen. Oh, is that the space warping one? I didn't realize you're still allowed to do tests with that. Keller. Usually not, but its properties were fairly pertinent to continuity. The need to study how identity and environment interact with one another. The courtyard's been scrubbed in a way to contain its effects and stop anything aside from baseline reality from expanding. Plus electromagnet stops it from burrowing into the walls. Narheen. Oh wow, so you're literally just hanging it in the middle of the site to see what it does with the reality? Keller. Recursive expansion, yes. Normally SB-184 adds new rooms, passages, and it dreams the building bigger than it is, but all that has to start somewhere. Presumably it'll act the same on particles of reality, regardless whether it's in a box or not, so might as well monitor it. Narheen. There's something so poetic. Oh no, there's something so poetic about that, dreaming something bigger than what it is. Did I tell you should like poetry? I used to write a lot about. She pauses, her brow furrowing. Her eyes scan Keller before she shrugs and smiles. No, I mean I like writing. Can't remember what for some reason. Is that normal? Oh. Keller, totally normal after your procedure. Your mission? Narheen, well, if it's one thing I remember, it's that I'm a nerd. Keller, look what that got you. Narheen, pardon? Keller, nothing. Glad you're feeling better. Oh, fucking A. Looking back at the dodecahedron, Narheen continues to write something in her notebook, but stops mid-stroke. It's weird. I'm happier than I've been in a long time after that mission. Not like a break, relax, but like a permanent weight being lifted off me, relaxed. No. Still, every time I start to think about work, every time I start to do my job, my mind feels it should be somewhere else, you know? Something is out of place and I can't tell what it is. Pressing her hands together, Kelly looks over at Narheen. Keller, perhaps it's just burnout. I can schedule an appointment with a psychologist if you would like. Narheen, no, no, it's quite all right. I'll make do. I've made it through worse. Narheen smiles. Keller clasps her hands together so tight her fingertips go white. Narheen, you're really kind, Dr. Keller. Thank you for trusting me with that mission, whatever it was. Oh my fucking god. Keller looks down and offers a half-hearted nod in farewell. As Narheen leaves, Keller stares up at her reflection in SCP-184's brass faucets. I want to punch the wall. I feel so sad. Thank you for writing this. Security log 9000. What we see is a dramatic shot of two hands about to clasp the SCP-184. The courtyard's reflection bends in the rising moonlight. SCP-184 begins stretching into impossible angles, refracting colors that shouldn't exist. Something within recognizes that before it now stands a god. In the distance, breach alarm boom, though her heart aches for the bright-eyed soldier whom had set her free. Someone else here had asked for her first. Wrapped in a shroud, SCP-9000 gazes on with eyes of sorrow and silence. Within its very being, the prayer of Narheen still hums, binding her human grief to an inhuman filament, giving the god before her a glimpse into her existence. It saw, it understood her as it had done with many before her, every broken dream and shattering heartbreak, every unspeakable horror and terrible burden. But this thing, this artifact, this architect, it had not seen before, and with it perhaps she could save that broken girl's mind. Perhaps with it she could save all of them. Every undeserved life lost, every torn heart, every unwilling sacrifice, this would be her instrument, her tool, on which she would play the melody of reform past and future for all her children. Starting with Narheen. The shroud trembles as SCP-9000 extends its reach, not only its hands, but a shimmering cascade of vectors into SCP-184's impossible geometry. The brass facets split open, spilling fractals, and the god catches each one like the beads of its own prayer rosary. Each time it whispers its intention. Restructure, reconstruct, repattern. No longer bound by prayer alone, the god acts. It will turn back the blade poised above Narhin and so many more. Log 9000, restructure. Participants. Subject, junior researcher Salim Narhin, tactical theology of Palestinian descent. Anesthesiologist Dr. Clarice Keller, observing Dr. John Blank, tactical theology. Dr. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Alright. Dr. John Blake walks purposefully through the corridor while junior researcher Narhin hurries to keep pace. Her notebook is clutched to her chest. Where are we? Okay, so we have a chunk to go. Is clutched to her chest, and her face and voice are bright, too bright. I wanted to say again, Dr. Blake, it's surreal to have the opportunity to work with you. You practically made the theology curriculum at your college with your work on the psychotropography of St. Bernard's collapse. I've read your papers on worship about a dozen times. Conversation cut for brevity. Worship is war. Feed something with attention and you give it teeth. Bow and it will break your bones to build a knife. Every bright-eyed intern attacked Theo wants poetry but have run out of hope. Something else just happened to be listening. A pause. Blake, did I write those words down before? Narheen smiles. Blake looks around. Weren't we just in this hallway? Narheen, we were always in this hallway, right before you. Blake grabs her arm. What is this? Narheen. A junior researcher. Tactical theology. Your subordinate. One who happens to be of Palestinian descent, and that's reason enough for you to try to unmake me. Blake's hand slowly snakes down to his belt towards his radio. If it's of any solace, I don't plan on resisting. They keep walking. This picture is of the same camera, right? But Blake has turned to look at Narheen. He's smaller than her in the photo, if that matters for any sort of symbolic reasons. My house is loud, it's bothering me. Narheen, we risk idolizing the destruction of our gods. Blake, is that the only part you glean from my writings? Narheen, it simply strikes me as most ironic, considering you now. When did you write that paper? I believe it was 93? Blake, is that supposed to mean something? Narheen, it means you're old. You're old and you've done this dance so many times that it doesn't matter anymore, like a lawyer taking an ethics class. Cute. Blake, how long have you been here? A year? Less? You don't understand the sacrifice or toll that tactical theology work. Narheen, precisely. At one point you were like me. New, unjaded. You actually cared. But then time went on and you lost it. You fell into the trap you spent your early career warning others of. Blake, and that trap is? Narheen, you idolized destruction because you lost your empathy for your peers and for the people you're supposed to protect. Sorry, it's loud out back there. Is it supposed to be 814? It's 1148. No, what the fuck? Architect, yep. That says 814 there. Pure tones? I don't think I know you. Yeah, it's Oh wait, I know this. This is the yeah, I've read you at one point. Weird. Yeah, I think that's misspelled or miswritten. They passed the courtyard. SCP-814 is no longer on its plinth. Blake, I'm not God to have to worry about the existence and well-being of everything and everyone across my path. Sacrifices must be made for the greater good. 2 minutes later, Blake and Narheen arrive at Bernheim room. Transcription of procedure begins. 3 minutes. Attendant offers Narheen a gown. She changes behind a partition. Her ID badge is absent from her attire. Narheen, I smell salt. Is that seawater or the saline? Keller, lie down, please. Narheen smiles as she does so. Restraints are clipped on, heavier than standard use. Her hijab is moved and her hair revealed. Narheen, go ahead and shave it. Nothing stops growing unless you tear it out from the root. From the intercom comes Blake's voice. Blake, you heard her. Cut it from the root this time. Keller, the root? Blake, her entire concept of empathy. I want it out. Keller, do you understand how delicate this is? To not just excise memory, but to remove an entire conceptual branch would be the equivalent to Blake, lobotomy. That's the point. Keller, is this still practice for what you want us to do to SCP-9K? Stop questioning me and do it. 10 minutes. First hermetic phrase interval begins. Bird, poem, paper, fly, home, home, home. The room vibrates with the first phase cascade. Narheen stiffened. Phase cascade? Is it? Was it always? I don't know. I'm getting confused. Narheen stiffens and her eyes roll back. Above her, the air seems to fold in on itself as dozens of paper birds are pulled from seemingly nothing. They spiral down and encircle her. Each bird is made from documents and words spoken and written throughout an entire lifetime. Fucking always loved this house is. A dissertation, birth certificate, newspaper, journal. Each sheet carries Narheen's handwriting, pulled from every possible future where she could have written it. Many of them are shredded and scorched. telling half-erased or forgotten stories. Some split apart midair, littering the ground with their broken paper bodies. Who the fuck is playing music at its loudest? God damn it. That ruined my whole mood for reading this fucking story. Damn it. I wanted to be sad. Now I'm just annoyed. This image is beautiful. Gather my birds when their papers are torn. Anchor my spirit when my nation is born. Let me drink some more water. For one moment, everything freezes. There is no motion, only heartbeats. Birds stop, some laying upon the ground, others are frozen in midair, in complete silence. The tears along their bodies mend, ink reappears along once lost lines. Torn strips reattach with clean seams, then all at once they begin to move again. Dozens of wings beating in unison. Then, as though recalled by a silent force, they each fly upward and pass into a single point over Narhin's head before vanishing out of reality. One bird remains in the room. It's made from the folded pages of a Palestinian passport bearing Narhin's name, and it falls into it reveal a single line within. You are forgiven. Passport is footnoted, inconsistent with real-world documents. EEG stabilizes. Yeah. Bile once again apologized. Ugh, I hate that. 15 minutes. Dozens of papers are seen littering the physical containment chamber, given body no longer confined to Narhin's mind. Keller. John, I can see what she's seeing. I think some of the hypnotic might have vaporized. Blake, put on a mask and keep going. There isn't anyone to replace you. Keller. John. She approaches Narhin's body and touches her chest, picking up the passport. Keller. Why is it real this time? She should be the only one seeing this. Blake. Fuck. Keller. John. Blake, turn it off. Turn it off! She tries to pull the headset off Narhin, followed by other surgical equipment. Nothing moves. Keller. I can't. Blake. Fuck! 17 minutes, psychomimetic phrase interval begins. Gate, checkpoint, grave, border, border, border. The floor breaks and cracks like a dry canyon. The tile of the chamber splits, and through it rises the bleeding tree. This time, however, its roots do not pin down the gurney, so they travel out beyond her chamber, sliding beneath door frames and snaking through corridors. Bind my roots to where borders cross, harbor my voice across seas of loss. The roots surge downwards, outwards. They spread across undersea water cables, climbing onto the shores of nations long forsaken. Its leaves hang. Sorry, someone screamed outside. Its leaves hang down, each one scrawled with the messages of votership and activism. As the leaves fall off, they turn to passport stamps and plane tickets, routes of passage to places she's never been, but whose names she knows by heart. Finally, the canopy above her splits, and from its branches grow radio antennas. Her voice, her actual voice. Screams, prayers, apologies, echo out over oceans and air, held by no invisible line created by man. Let me just... Oops. Control C, Control F, Control V. Yep, it is the same prayer in same phrase in Arabic of "I have hope." Good, just wanted to double check. There we go. Red sap drips onto Narhin's forehead, but instead of running down her face like a tear, it pools in an unnatural shape on an unseen axis. It draws the coastline of a distant land upon her skin. Oh, that's pretty. I need to save that idea for something. Just anything, really. After 2 minutes, the bleeding tree recedes back into the ground. Narhin's voice ceases, and all is quiet. However, the lightest of the roots remains etched in the floor of the chamber, and the lexicon of her prayer entwined with it. 21 minutes. The EEG becomes erratic. Lights and alarm have come alive within the site, going as far as the bleeding tree retreats. Keller has taken cover behind a medic cart. Blake watches from the observation deck. Keller, John, this isn't a test anymore, it's a breach. Blake, let containment classify and clean it up afterwards. We need our data. Keller, she's gonna rip us and this whole building apart. She points to a giant hole in the roof where the bleeding tree had punctured through. Blake, you already said we can't stop her, you might as well get the data. 25 minutes. The third interval begins. Olive, sacrifice, knowledge, silence, silence, silence. She kneels within a garden, a friend beside her, both their hands shaking with dirt and grief. A silent prayer leaves her mouth as the world stops to listen. When my name fades, let its branches still grow. God of mercy and compassion, don't let me go. The tree shivers and leaves shake. Its roots shoot deeper, extending out past what the garden could reasonably hold. Out into the streets, out into the foundation of this world, out into her fate. Unknown. Do you know what's next? Nadine. No. Unknown. Do you understand just how much was done for you to be brought here? Nadine. Yes. Unknown. And what will you do to make sure it was all worth it? Narheen. All I can. She gazes out to the future. Tents, banners, chants, her voice hoarse from the screams, police cars, and metal barriers lined up alongside the streets, her phone vibrating in her pocket as her parents call, begging her to come home. Yet her head held high. Somewhere that tree still grows, unpruned, leaves shimmering, basking in her prayer. On its branches appear initials, cousins, classmates, friends. Her own. Each person she fears will be forgotten, yet each signature carved into the bark without a single hand touching it. She wonders if its roots, too, can map the lines of her prayer. 32 minutes. Subject screams, enters a fully lucid state. She claws against the restraints until her skin splits. Blake, she's not clean. Make her keep going. Keller, I can't put her back under. I can't. Narheen's eyes snap open. Faint, script-like symbols of Arabic twinkle within her eyes. Her restraints are cut away by an invisible scalpel. Narheen, olives, paper, roots, return. She sits up. The bleeding tree's sap on her forehead runs down her nose, then her cheek like a sword tear. Keller, I'm sorry, Salam. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Narheen, you knew, and you will pay. Thank you for making note of that. Empathy doesn't matter if you don't act on it. 42 minutes. Blake is teleported into the surgical gallery of the Bernheim room from its observation deck. The root lattice of the bleeding tree comes alive beneath them, bursting through the ground and entrapping Blake and Keller by their feet. Narheen gazes at them with a disquieted expression and she lifts her hand, and two paper birds fluttered out from her sleeve. One lands on Keller's shoulder and the other on Blake's. Each bird beats its wings once before devolving into streams of letters and words. The text forms into lines upon each agent's skin, crawling across their forehead and into their ears. Blake, what are you doing? Narheen, what you try to do to me? You try to cut empathy from its root, but somehow you give it back to me. I'm simply returning the favor. Thank you. Mimetic, 45 minutes. Mimetic response plays in reverse. A hum fills the chamber as intervals play in reverse. Home, fly, paper, poem, bird. Keller and Blake visibly sag, more roots rise from the ground to support their writhing bodies. Wilting bodies. Keller, what is it that I remember? Narheen, you'll see every checkpoint, every border, every tent, not as I saw them, but as I imagined them, because you deprived me of the sanity to even bear witness. You will feel every sleepless night that should be every, but the Y is gone. Every sleepless night that I could not endure because of the silent screams and sirens entire oceans away. And when it is all over, you will feel what it is like to have your roots torn and wings shattered. 48 minutes. More paper birds burst out from her sleeves, this time orbiting Blake and Cal. Do gowns give you sleeves? Mine didn't. Well, I mean, it gave me like, okay, when I think of sleeves, I think of a long sleeve. I guess it did give me sleeves. This time orbiting Blake and Keller. Their wings slice across exposed skin, leaving paper cuts that to bleed out memory. Damn. Blake, you're Foundation personnel. Where's your loyalty? Do you realize what you're doing? The consequence of this outburst? Narheen, your prayers fall on deaf ears, for I idolize your destruction. Shit, don't we all? 50 minutes. The root lattice begins to sink into the ground, taking with it Narheen and Blake. Narheen, you will wake up tomorrow and you will know every name you try to raising. You will wake up tomorrow and find them carved into your... Should that be carved? Find them carved into your tongues and skin. You will wake up tomorrow and find yourselves unable to say or speak any words other than apologies, and maybe then you'll remember what it means to be human. 52 minutes. As she speaks and stares, the Palestinian coastline is traced onto Blake and Keller's forehead, not with sap but with blood. If they scream, Narheen does not hear them or does not care. The chamber settles as they are taken underground. Narheen walks out of the door. Is that the lady? Log SCP-9000 reconstruct, something like that. Location, Bernheim room. Image of 9000 on the gurney. I'm not... Is this the tree? A little hard to tell. Security cameras resume recording after an 11-hour blackout. Narheen stands over an unconscious Dr. Blake. His head has been replaced by a massive roots. Oh no, that's Dr. Blake. His head has simply been replaced by a massive roots. My mistake. In a nearby chair, Dr. Keller slumped over. Narheen attaches an EEG amongst other medical devices, then disappears into the observation deck. A moment later, the roots remove themselves from Blake's head, and he begins to regain consciousness. Narheen. Former Principal Investigator John Blake, now serving as Subject A, initiating phrase overflow. A flock of paper bird manifest... I guess that does work. A flock of paper bird manifests within the chamber. They are made from folded pages of Blake's own publications. Semiotic armatures, continuity and containment, and on worship. Blake, what? Narheen, you built this cage. The birds land on his arms and head, touching exposed skin where they can. The text on their bodies flows off the paper and onto his skin, seeping into his ears. Now live in it. The room is filled with the screams of thousands of broken, murdered gods. Live with those you trapped within it. In a nearby monitor, Blake's EEG destabilizes as the transfer of script accelerates into his skin. Noreen. Tachycardic, destabilizing, subject displaying entry levels of exposure to empathetic recursion. Tachycardic is basically just a heart attack. Blake, what are these? Whose lives are these? Noreen. The ones you are responsible for destroying, erasing. Blake, how could a man kill this many gods? Noreen. Not just the gods, the lives that relied upon them, the ones you deemed inconvenient. Some from Gaza and Al-Dafa, others from Sudan, Nepal, Bangladesh, the ones that don't even have names anymore. How many did you erase? Blake continues to scream. The wires atop his head glow like a halo. Narheen. Induction phrase, child, checkpoint, remember, remember, remember. Blake convulses. Blood seeps out of his nose. Narheen. Their names will leak into your mind even as you rest, even as you die. Blake, stop. Narheen. You haven't begun to see all their faces yet. After 13 minutes of activity, the paper birds atop Blake have drained their text. Each one bursts into a red light before disintegrating, leaving charred marks on Blake's forehead. Keller is awakened and watches him with a trembling gaze. End empathetic recursion test 1. Let's see if you can remember any of their faces. The lights have dimmed. Nadine has entered the observation deck, her hands poised right above his skull. Phase 2. She does not touch him. Instead, tree roots snake up his neck, holding his head in place. They grow thicker with each passing moment, and a collection of small roots hold his eyeballs open. A tiny branch extends over his eyes, revealing a pair of microscopic, needle-thin vines. They curl down and down and down, then plunge into Blake's open pupils. Ugh, I hate eye stuff. Ugh. The air suddenly smells of brine and salt water. He hears praying, laughing, and suddenly screaming in the distance. Stop it. Sorry, Blake. Stop it. I'm not there. I'm here. Raheen. Oh, but you are. Every stamp, every file, every euphemism from here causes hurricanes and bomb craters over there. Feel your seconds as their months, your minutes as their years. He claws at the restraint. He breaks his own skin. Raheen. Sorry, but you aren't clean yet. Increasing temporal dilation. Keller whimpers from the corner. Narheen meets her gaze. This is not a punishment, only a lesson. You will learn the size of the wounds you inflict without touch. Blake has gone still, his mouth and eyes move in response to apparent nothingness. Narheen. When he wakes, he'll be fluent in every tongue he's tried erasing. Keller shrinks away as Narheen approaches her, wrapping her arms around her knees. Narheen. You were the hands that did the deed. Keller. I told him I didn't want to. Narheen. But you still did it. This is the wrong two, I think. Narheen crouches beside her, removing her hijab. The hair had not yet begun to grow back, and the gaping scars of electrode implantation, of having her mind cut open, make up the topography of her scalp. She pulls up her arm, showing more incisions, the IV tunnels. Let's just take a little break from all this to give you a fun little anecdote. I was in the hospital once to burn out a tumor that was in my hip. When I woke from anesthesia, I had the IV in my right hand. I woke from the anesthesia, was confused and rude to everyone, and they explained to me like, "Oh yeah, procedure went fine. You're out of anesthesia, whatever." And I was like, "Oh," in my brain the connections were made. You're out of surgery. There's still an IV in you. I should get that for them. And I removed the little like tape and pulled out the needle, and the nurse was like, "No, don't do that. Don't do that." And I was like, "Huh? Okay," because I had already pulled it out, and I stuck it right back in my hand. And at that point, she was like, Wait, no point now here. And then she took it right back out of me. And I was a little bit upset that she didn't let me take it out the second time, but okay, whatever. Anyway, I just felt like we should have a little tiny funny anecdote for a little bit. Also, because I fucking hate needle stuff. Oh god, I hate needles. And then my endoscopy colonoscopy procedure, they had to stick my arms 3 times before they found a fucking vein. I am thin. How did you try that many times? I'm so thin. The vein was right next to the skin, too. I don't know, how? They had to use both arms. Ugh. I really hate needles. So that anecdote is mostly for me as opposed to you. Narheen, look, every cut, every mark, left by you, as with him. I ask, how many other faces did you do this to? Keller, I thought I was helping. You know how it is. Please. Narheen, I know. I know we all hide behind protocol, but what is protocol but a wall of paper? And paper tears easier than flesh. Keller is silent. Slowly, Narheen inserts a drip into her arm. A hypnotic gradually drains into Keller's arm. Narheen. Oh. Yay, bile. Oh, no yay bile, no yay bile. Okay, yay bile. Unlike subject 1, this one knows, adjusting empathetic resonance accordingly. Memories project inside a killer's mind, not of those gods, but of Narhin, growing up a lone tree away from its forest. A kaleidoscope of clashing identities, chanting, praying, singing. Shit. Keller. Oh. Narhin. Yes. See what you wanted to take away from me. Feel how tight I held it. Feel how I tied it to myself so deep that I could never untie it. Keller. I thought if I was gentle, Narhin, that I wouldn't feel you cut me. Keller bows her head. Tears stream down her cheeks. They're the color of ink. Narhin, if you want to make amends, truly want to, you will do what you can to undo what you've done. This is not revenge. This is an apprenticeship. Oh. Hope this doesn't crash. I have to go to my grandma's. I guess we'll take a break here? Question mark? I don't know. Oh, right. Jesus. It's been a few hours. I had to go to my grandma's because my dad's, well, I call my dad, he's my grandpa, is gonna go over to Mexico for a few days to sort something out. We, want to go visit him. Just say goodbye for a little bit and all. A little bit because he's not going for ever or nothing. I always worry when he goes over to Mexico. Where we live is safer than most, but that doesn't make it safe. Not like something hasn't happened before to him. But with any luck, he'll be safe. I remember most of this file. I remember loving it. I remember I remember tearing my damn heart out. And I remember where we were, right? Narhin was basically like owning Keller and Blake with facts and logic. Is no better no, there's better ways to put that. I just didn't feel like it. Anyway, we're back. And then I'm gonna record this, probably go to bed. The image is of a monochromatic, except for the crane or bird, photo of a hand extending with the said bird within the palm. She presses a paper bird made of surgical charts into Keller's hand. Keller bursts into sobs and begins to recite names. Lights flicker, the lattice between Blake and Keller reforms. Narheen appears in the corner. Phase 3, cross exposure. Paper birds flutter out of nowhere again. This time they are created from multiple documents, publications stitched to surgical charts and medical notes. They form a gyre above the two captives, creating walls of text around them. Keller, what are you doing? Narheen, binding you to one another, the way you bound me to the god. Find a way for your empathy and bureaucracy to coexist, or tear yourselves apart at the seams of command and compliance. Images appear within the flock of birds as they swirl faster and faster. Blake's authorizations, his command, his creation, Keller's obedience, her compliance, her destruction. Narheen, I do not give you pain, only proximity. Inhabit one another until you understand what you've done together. Keller, you ordered it. You told me what to do. Blake, you did it. You never said no. Narheen, speak or confess. My lattice records everything. Blake, I signed the clearance because I wanted results. Keller, I obeyed because I was afraid what you would do if I didn't. Blake, you cut too deep. Keller, you told me to keep going. Narheen, name it all. I do not want revenge, only reflection. You've both been shown. Now speak the names and lay them bare. Keller, Yasmin, Amal, Rumi, Ryan, Raman, Yusuf. Blake stays silent. His jaw tightens, but he resists the urge to follow her. Say their names. Blake, no, this is manipulation. This is your experiment. Narheen, whoops. Narheen, not my experiment, my containment. An image of camps and checkpoints fits all of them. You know this is the only way I will let you out. Blake, I will not kneel to the one who idolizes my destruction. He reaches for Narheen's throat. If I end you, this ends. Everything stops. The room goes still. Birds pause in midair. Keller no longer reciting names. Blake's body is caught between forward lunge and a collapse. For a heartbeat, everything stays like that. Narheen sighs and steps away. She is the only one in motion. Log 9000 repattern. The world remained frozen. Should be remained, no? Remained frozen aside from Narheen. Keller on her knees, mid-name. Blake's arms outstretched. The birds still floating on the invisible wind. Behind Narheen manifests a shrouded figure, blurred at the edges like a mirage. She smells of seawater. SCP-9000, have you had enough, child? Narheen, that's an impossible thing to know. SCP-9000, are these two capable of learning? Narheen's lips tremble as she glances at Keller, face still covered in wet tears, then to Blake, his mouth in a frozen snarl. Narheen, Keller tried. She was afraid, but she tried, and I saw that. I want to forgive her, and... She pauses. I idolized Blake. He wrote half the papers I read in grad school, and I always saw him as the man just doing his job. But every time I close my eyes, all I can feel is the straps and the needles, the borders they drew on my body to keep me from my own blood. SB-9000. Then release him. Release yourself. Narheen. Do you not understand? They won't stop. They won't leave you untouched. Not you, nor my people, unless they learn. And they haven't learned anything yet. SB-9000. You think repetition will teach them what compassion cannot? Narheen. I don't know what will, but I don't know what else to try. Her voice cracks and breaks open. Oh, that's an interesting way of phrasing that. I don't want to hurt them. I don't like being like them. But I can't put the slightest back in the ground. I can't undo everything they've done. SB-9000 steps closer, shuttered hands hovering over Narheen's shoulders, though they do not touch her. Narheen. I don't know what else to do, so I'll repeat this lesson. I'll hold them here in recursion for as long as it takes. If they learn, truly learn, I'll free them. If not... She pauses, looking over SB-9000. Then it won't matter. I'll stay here for as long as it takes. SCP-9000. To protect one's own is one of the oldest and most archaic instincts of humanity. Hey, title card. From this archetype, all other instincts grow. End log. New file iteration available. Click to read. Let's see. A sizable chunk appears, given the updated entity designation, 9184. Ooh, that's interesting in a meta sense. Overview. Following the event of log SCP-9000, following the events of log 9000 restructure, reconstruct, and repattern, it is believed that SCP-9000, formerly categorized as a separate incorporeal memetic entity, has merged with or otherwise assumed control of SCP-184. This composite anomaly, hereby designated SCP-9184, oh, okay, I get it, is believed to be responsible for the recursive phenomenon centered within the Department of Continuity's Birnheim room. Revised anomalous properties. SCP-184 was previously believed to affect the physical space through non-Euclidean expansion. However, use by SCP-9000 has demonstrated to have a wider range of capabilities. Mental expansion, including massive, often involuntary enlargement of an individual's cognitive or emotional bandwidth, enforcing connection with larger mnemonic networks. Temporal expansion, localized stretching or folding of time, creating loops, dilation, or freezes around users and other subjects. Only external temporal anchors are capable of recognizing these recursions. Combination of properties, specifically the combination of any of its temporal, mental, or physical capabilities. For existence, temporal dilation within the mind, the expansion of mental images into physical space, or the expansion of one's mind in physical objects. Current status: Junior researchers Salim Narheen, Dr. Clarice Keller, and Dr. John Blake remain suspended within a closed time loop generated by SCP-9184. External measurements show no temporal progress within the anomaly, despite 2 calendar months having passed since the event. Subjects have been observed remotely in a variety of positions and situations that appear to repeat with no differences. Damn. Containment updates. Birnheim room has been fully sealed and classified as a temporal memetic hazard site. Scranton anchors deployed around the Birnheim room but have no measurable disruption. Department of Continuity personnel inoculated against recursive empathic drifts. Remote observation is to be limited and conducted during periods where Narheen is known not to be watching the cameras. Note: analysis shows SCP-9184 may be being used to maintain the Birnheim room as a classroom environment, enforcing empathic instructions until subjects meet certain conditions. Attempts to remove or neutralize the anomaly have been prevented so as to not destabilize physical, temporal, or conceptual space within the Department of Continuity. Damn. I loved this one. Boy, did I. Thank you kindly, the both of you. I accidentally... What does that look like when I do that? Yep, okay, I figured. I accidentally hit, whatever you probably saw. I absolutely loved that, the both of you. Thank you kindly. Okay, Local, Lesbian Commie, and Harmacy. Both of these were great. They used their, continuity to perfection, I think. Damn, this one took a while. But Both of these files were amazing, as are the rest of all of the SCP-9000 entries, but these files were amazing. Especially you, the Archaic. You really did hit me hard emotionally. Fucking A, might have even cried. Might have. I didn't, because, banging on the doors in my house and all that. But if I had read this one straight through with no interruptions, I think it might have brought me to tears. Just a bit, though. But, not an admonishment. A praise, celebration even. These files were frankly amazing, and I am very happy that you both decided to write and post these. They're really good. Anamnesis, huh? Anamnesis? I know that move from Darkest Dungeon 2, but I know that word from Darkest... I recognize the word from Darkest Dungeon 2, I don't know it, so I can't wait to see what that actually means for once. But, in either case... All caps, how do you spell the man's name? Uh, they were phenomenal files that really do use these especially greatly. I think it was... I don't remember your title. Apologies. I'm Still Here, I believe. That used, like, these and... No, that used these and this. Whoops. And this fucking flawlessly. I loved that little input so much. Anyway, it's late and I kind of want to rest. I bid you all a good night. I hope you vote as you believe for the contest, and I'm glad that you were here to sift through these with me. Have a good rest of your day.